Well, I think one thing I didn't like about Shanahan after his response to losing at least this last Super Bowl was a lot of it he didn't seem to share some of the blame. It was more so things didn't work out, and I guess I've been in sports for as long as I've been alive, and after a loss, players don't take it well. And yeah, as a coach, you have to be a leader, but at some point, you have to understand that hey, maybe a lot of it was your fault. Yes, the players have to execute, but maybe the game plan you put together wasn't as good as you thought it was. And although I do love Kyle Shanahan's game plans, he's a great offensive mind. I do think at times he gets complacent. We even saw that you said the Niners fell into a Super Bowl run. They also fell into that the big George Kittle play that was called back for a PI. They weren't going to call that. They were running. They were running the football out until Jeff Wilson broke like a 20-yard run.
Correct.
And
Correct.
It's tough to watch year in and year out. At least as long as he's been there, and as long as the Niners have been good, which has been 1 year since Shanahan's kind of taken over. But it's tough to see that against the Ravens, complacency. Against Seattle at home, complacency. At some point, and this I guess kind of filters into the Jamal Adams conversation, at what point do you have to hit the red button and say we're going all out? And yeah, you don't want to be the Rams, and I know that's a lot of people's hesitation of you don't want to become the Rams and have to be paying Jared Goff a ton of money, and you have to cut Todd Gurley and Dante Fowler and plenty of other guys out there that are making a ton of money while not playing for you. But the Rams, although they didn't win a Super Bowl, were in the position to do so. And they just got out coached to a certain degree. And at some point, I really don't think that Shanahan is someone to get out coached often, but it just seems like he gets out coached at the worst possible times. And his complacency is a large portion of that, of not being aggressive enough. And even at times, he's aggressive at the wrong moments. Just like against Atlanta, or when he was in Atlanta and calling the play action with Matt Ryan up by, we already know, 28-3. And even last year, why are we throwing the football up by 10 with 9 minutes left with the number one, number two rushing attack in the NFL? Right. And so, as much as I love Kyle Shanahan, I have a lot of problems with how he calls games. But I'm not in his position. Sometimes I just hope he would ramp things up a little bit more at the right time.
He will never put blame on himself, and Sean McVay always does. It's one of the things I like about Sean McVay. You don't even have to believe it. But the players are blaming themselves anyway. It helps when the coach goes up and says, you know what? No, it wasn't about execution. I could have done better. Because it just takes the pressure off all the players, and they go, well, at least, I mean, he may not believe it. He might, chew me out in the meetings tomorrow, but at least publicly, he's got my back. And I don't have all the fans and media people pointing the finger at me. They're pointing the finger at the coach, and he's sort of like the team's shield. Shanahan could do that. I mean, it would be a nice step in his maturation. But the way I look at him, okay, I'm going to use a metaphor. I look at him as like, he's one of like these doctors who's brilliant. Like if you put him in front of a slide, he could look at the slide in front of a microscope, and he could deconstruct it and tell you everything that's going on. He's a brilliant person. But he might not be the kind of doctor you want performing open heart surgery. You understand? Like he's great drawing up plays and calling them when he's calm. But for whatever reason, in the most pressurized moments of his career, he's done things that are not only strange, but seem out of character. Like, where's your aggression? Where's all this bravado and confidence that you had in September, October, November? Where is it? In this fourth quarter or this overtime against your rivals, all of a sudden you're meek. You're like trying to win it with your defense, or what, or you don't trust your running game where you trusted it all year. I almost feel like he's one of those ER doctors who kind of cracks under pressure, and he's the most brilliant guy in your team and you need him. But when it's a code blue, you might want a guy with steadier hands. So I don't know if that's him. He's still only 40 years old, and he'll have decades more to prove that he can really stay calm and cool and smart under pressure. But that's kind of what I look at. That's how I perceive him.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of people looked at Andy Reid for a long time.
Right.
Very smart.
Right.
And I don't want to compare them to each other, but they're kind of on that same path here of that multiple playoff runs. I know Andy Reid never got to a Super Bowl until they played the Patriots with T.O. with the broken leg game. But the way I look at Kyle Shanahan, and you use metaphor, and I'll use one too, maybe a little more real life one in regards to Star Wars. People love Force Awakens. They hated The Last Jedi. At least a lot of people did, because Rian Johnson, the director, wanted to subvert expectations. And I think no matter how you feel about that movie, that isn't the point, but it's more so I think Shanahan, to a fault, tries to subvert expectations when it's not always necessary.
You think I'm going to run, so I won't. No, exactly. I totally agree, because he does have things in common with Andy Reid, but Andy Reid's problem is he never has a running game, ever. Yeah. I mean, he had it for like a year and a half with Kareem Hunt, but he'll get up on you. He'll be up 28-0, and then the second half comes around and he can't run the ball. And all of a sudden, he's giving the ball back to the team, and he's not taking time off the clock, and they're still in the game. That's always been Andy Reid's problem. And the reason it's not a problem anymore is because his offense can score 50 now. He just has Patrick Mahomes, and they'll blow you away. Shanahan isn't like that. Shanahan's a run-first guy. Shanahan has the running game. His issue is that with the season on the line and a big lead, 10-point lead with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 25-point lead with, halfway through the third quarter, he forgets about the running game. He forgets about what got him there and what every coach would go to just ice the victory. It's like he's going for style points when he should just be going for ground and pound. And to me, that's just a guy getting in his own way. Like, Shanahan is his biggest rival. There's no guy that you like, man, that guy has Shanahan's number. No, Shanahan has Shanahan's number. He's prevented himself twice from winning Super Bowls. He should have 2 rings. And he blocked them both times like Dikembe Mutombo, got in his own way. So I'd like to see if he can stop doing that. And it's like he's almost like it's like an alcoholic. Like, the first step is acknowledging that you're the problem, Kyle. It's not Steve Spagnuolo. It's not your guy's execution. Not Jimmy. It's you. You know, there's little tiny things that you could do to just stop being self-destructive. And you'd be the best. You'd be the best. Maybe in the Bill Walsh category. But he's not there yet.